So, McCarthy is back, everybody. So, I am going through this. I'm just pulling up questions right now, and these are kind of questions that are not necessarily Mirandis related, not necessarily Townstar related. They're Gala Games ethos related. Like, who are Gala? What are we? What do we want to do? That's kind of what we're dealing with. Scotty, excuse me, our beneficent host, is asks, is there anything that you can tell us about crane bots in Mirandis? And I ask you this question immediately after I said that this is not a thing about Mirandis. But there you go.
What function could a crane bot perform inside of Mirandis? Yeah, I mean, I think when there's a direct relationship between a Townstar NFT inside of Mirandis, we would probably likely make that connection. With something like a crane bot, um, if there is not a direct port or ability or kind of an obvious thing they would become inside of Mirandis, we would fabricate something. We'd make it make sense in some way, shape, or form. Um,
Can my crane
or
bot be a guy that follows me with coconuts? I think we need that.
um, yeah. So I building. If something has a building time associated with it or building materials associated with it, um, that would be the place where the crane bot lives. But I kind of feel like I kind of feel like it would be disingenuous to tell people that have purchased deeds or buildings inside of Mirandis that there's also an additional cost you didn't expect to put it on the game board in the world, and I wouldn't want to do that. So there might be things that need to be built, but I, it certainly wouldn't be the deeds or buildings. But maybe the crafts. Maybe a crane bot could perform some function in relationship to the crafts. We'll have to think about that one. We'll have to
Okay.
think about that one. But it'll do something.
Now, wait, hold on. Where did it go? Ah, Johnny Be Good. Johnny Be Good asks a lot of good questions. I guess that's where he gets the name. Unless it's Johnny Be Goody. If it's Johnny Be Goody, then that just doesn't work as well. Would you consider using a side net such as Matic for NFTs to make transfers and minting much cheaper? Yes, absolutely. We have publicly announced that we're in the process of integrating Flare. We're in the process of integrating Binance Smart Chain, and we haven't announced, but will be announcing fairly shortly. And this is there's 136 people on this stream, so almost nobody, right? Nobody will know this. We have not announced yet, but we are also in the process of integrating Polygon slash Matic. So yes, essentially, if it's EVM compatible, yes, absolutely, we will want to do that. We see Gala Games as being sort of the central nexus of a whole bunch of different base layer and L2 solutions that can all bridge over to connect us with everything else. We believe very strongly in two things. One, you as a player should have choices. Okay, that's not that's absolutely critical for us. We don't want to lock you into any one thing ever. And I mean, Michael will agree with me here. It kills us to see everybody have to suffer through dealing with Ethereum and gas fees and not being able to mint the stuff that's in their treasure chests. Like, we hate it. We absolutely hate it. It pisses us off more than you guys could possibly realize. Um, so we want to give you guys as much choice as possible. And the next thing is that we don't know in the great quote unquote battle of the chains. We don't know who's going to come out on top. So we want to make sure that we're well integrated with absolutely everything. So we're in a position that our players will be protected no matter what. That's what we're really, really looking for.
Yeah,
Let's
we're
see.
we're trying to be decentralized guys. And we're we're trying to be inclusive. And The blockchain community is awesome. There's lots of technologies that are awesome, and you know, um, I think the spirit of this space that has just warmed my heart is how welcoming everyone is, and is how inclusive everyone is. So we're trying to be a really open platform, and include the things that'll benefit you guys for sure.
That's yeah, it's really the point here. Um, let's see here. I'm. This isn't really a question. This is a comment from Meta. Um, Meta says Gala is someone who thought, what's the next Bitcoin? I gotta find the next Bitcoin. What might explode over the next few years or 10 years? Well, I play video games all the time at my house, so I really, I really, this is really important to understand. On one hand, I absolutely welcome any doubt or skepticism or anything at all that you guys want to throw at us. Ask us the tough questions. It's totally cool. In this case, it is really important to note that basically everyone on our team has been making video games for decades. Eric Schiermeyer, our CEO, co-founder of Zynga, Michael McCarthy, right here, has made some of my favorite games ever. Um, for us, this isn't a gee, how can we make a little bit of money? This is uh, how do we fundamentally transform an industry that we all love and have seen completely destroyed by uh, perverse incentives? How do we create a new economy that works? And could this type of thing be this concept be the next like serious actual decentralized network? Yes, I think it could. I'm not going to be that asshole who says, "Oh, we're going to be the next Bitcoin," because that's dumb and no, it's just dumb. But I think that it's really important to take a look at who we are at a very deep level and ask us the difficult questions, and we'll do our best to answer them. Or we'll say, "Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. It's a really good one."
Yeah, I mean, for me, um, if you take the fancy blockchain side of, out for a second, it's as a player, I'm playing a game and I get something really cool, and I kind of want it. I kind of want it to be mine. I don't want it to be. I want to know that it's special. I want it to just be mine. And there's something cool about just being somewhere. I can be out. I don't need to be in the game. It just mine exists in space, and I can hand it to my friend at a restaurant. Here, dude, give me your address. It's yours, man. There you go. That
Done.
just it
That's what
just
it should
feels
be.
cool. It feels right. It feels cool. I like that I can actually own stuff. I want to as a player, and I want to be able to give it to somebody else if I so choose. It's none of it's none of Gala's business what you do with your stuff. Why do people keep making games and platforms that don't empower you just to have your own stuff? Like I, after making games for a really long time, guys, I got to tell you, it just, it feels so refreshing to be able to give back to the people who have loved and supported and played games that I've made for freaking ever. It's just kind of the right thing to do. Um, you know, I don't. What exactly is the economy or business model of it? I mean, I'm hoping it's a good business. We think it is, just because we've got a lot of people to pay and families and everything else that a business, needs. But it's really not about what happens with our money. It's about what happens with yours.
Yeah,
When you play these games, it's like you're giving all your money to the platform that the game is hosted on. And then you're giving even more money to Facebook to launch your ads so that people know about your game to begin with. Well, what if we took that 60, 70%, sometimes more in some games cases, and just kind of freed it up, and just served it up to the community and lived free of the platform's rules and violations? They shut your games down. They turn you off left and right. If we say we're doing anything with blockchain, I mean, we wouldn't stand a chance to be on iOS or
oh for
Android. I
sure.
mean,
for sure.
It's like, so how do we just be in this world at all and even experiment with the concept of how do we give you something and just make it yours? Even, and that's really what it feels like to me at this point. Like it's not solved yet. There's still so much to think through and experiment with. But even to have the freedom to let anyone in the world engage in it and for us to just figure it out and work on it with you guys over time, you cannot be in one of those ecosystems. They will shut you down immediately. Immediately. So I love the freedom that this has, and I love the freedom that it gives you guys as players. Um,
Can
I think that's what's cool about it, I guess.
it is cool. I really want to I want to address so no meta for me. I'm curious, like obviously I'm sensing a little bit of hostility here. And I do want to say he makes this question, oh, they don't want money at all, there's no profit to be made. No, dude, there's tons and tons of profit to be made. And uh, I just discovered a few months ago that I'm going to have my wife is going to have a kid, and so yeah, obviously, financial future is definitely something that we're concerned in. We're not trying to be like these holier than thou people, like, oh yes, we're going to save the world. No, that's not what we're about. But we do recognize, like, there are major economic challenges that have to be addressed, and they're not being addressed by the current systems that exist. So we're super interested in creating something that addresses those problems. Um, so yeah. I mean, I'm totally free to answer your questions if you actually have something. But you know, anyway, let's see exactly why are they in this Discord. Wink. We're here because we want to talk to you guys. We love talking to people. That's what we're doing here, bro. Um, we're not here to sell you guys something. We're here to answer some questions if you guys have something. Um, yeah. The guys on the server have been pretty hostile to people joining this channel. I'm sure that has something to do with his comment. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's totally fair. And again, we're not trying to convince anyone of anything. We're just here to answer questions. Can you go over the new updates on the node clusters again? Unfortunately, that is above my technical pay grade here. So what I am going to do is I will be posting prices stuff from earlier in the day on YouTube later once they unblock our account, um, and then we'll go from there. Lots of questions pinned. Let's see. Um, that's Scotty saying, "Come on, get back on topic, guys." Is there a personal trading in game within Mirandis being planned? Yes, absolutely. You should be able to trade with whoever you want. That's absolutely something we would want to do.
Yeah, we don't facilitate those transactions, guys. Is kind of our thing. We're decentralized, and I you know inside of Mirandis, you should be able to give something to somebody else that's on the blockchain, but that would likely be a wallet to wallet transaction from you to somebody else.
Yeah. Let's see. Would you like to talk about NFT plans for game items besides land?
Well, there's land and buildings.
I'm going to step away for just a second. You talk.
Um, the reason we started with the concept of deeds and buildings is because I feel very confident that that's a box from design wise that we can commit to. Um, so will there be other NFTs in the future that get released? Um, I think there might be some additional buildings coming in the future, but I really want to get clearer on the design and how exactly those new buildings would interface with the character system itself. Um, yeah, so I don't. There's a lot of other things like accessories, paintings on the wall, things you would dress up your building with, or maybe the land that you own from a deed perspective. But I'm kind of hoping that those are a part of the players crafting and creating them inside the world of Mirandis, and I wouldn't want to I wouldn't want to hurt that game by releasing a bunch of stuff prior to it coming out. So I kind of feel like the deeds and the buildings are these wonderful, shells and platforms that players can experiment with and grow inside of Mirandis. I wouldn't want to release NFTs that hamper that in any way. I'd want to release things that make the world more interesting. So I'm not
Awesome.
looking at this. Is Brink back?
I am Brack. Yes, I am
Brack.
Brack. It's been a long day, man. I am so flippin' tired last 2 days of GalaCon. Oh, okay. Is there a public roadmap from Theo Meter?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. There's not right now, and that's why I spoke about that earlier today, guys. We have a big revamp of the Mirandis and Townstar websites with a lot more information. Everything that we've discussed so far needs to be crystallized in a way that you guys can see and check out and review, and that will include a project roadmap. It'll likely be it'll likely be quarter over quarter. You can start getting into this week over week roadmap stuff, and it kind of falls apart. If something in the game needs more work or exposes itself as a problem, or but definitely I think quarterly results is how we would be guiding ourselves internally, and we could expose that to you guys maybe even month over month.
I'd love to do that. Yeah. Let's see here. Are ordinary users going to be able to join and play free of charge? Yeah, you can join and play free of charge right now. Just go to app.gala.games and play Townstar. Go for it. Super, super, super easy. Um, Groove says, how much Gala has been distributed to date, and has there ever been Gala distributed other than through the node point system and Townstar rewards? Total, about 8 billion Gala has been distributed, is kind of out in the open, floating around. And it has every last one of them, been distributed through the node point system and Townstar rewards. There was never an ICO, never anything like that. Um, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, you couldn't you purchase Gala directly off of the Gala site at some point? Is that
No,
not true?
never, never.
No, that's right.
No, you used to be able to purchase Gala via Simplex, but Simplex would buy it from Bitrue and then transfer it to you.
Mm.
But that was a clunky UX, so we kind of cut that out. Um,
There's no secrets here, guys. We try to be as open as possible. It's
yeah.
you know
Okay, let's see here. Does the team plan on adding some more textures to Mirandis? The game is already looking very cool, but I think more textures would add to the game's depth and feel.
it should only get better looking over time, guys. In these early stages, we I mean I think it's an important game development step to just get stuff in the game as fast as possible. Um, that lets you test the mechanics, start playing around a little bit, and that's the highest priority. We do want it to be indicative of the final look, but yeah, things will only get better looking. They'll only get better looking over time.
Yeah. And yeah, bro, Bill Gates probably has saved millions of lives. I mean, he's funded tons and tons of research, in a lot of developing countries. It's super important. Um, the mechanics of play can serve the purpose of some poor people. What does that change? What do you mean, what does that change? That changes, like, everything massively. Um, okay, so let's zero in on that for a little bit. Okay, let's talk about exactly what it would look like for somebody to play that doesn't have the ability to earn income in another way. And let's talk specifically about some of our players in the Philippines. So right now, there is a family, and it's a husband and wife, and the two of them compete in the weekly Town Star competition. And I believe, McCarthy, you would say that the two of them place pretty high in the competition on a weekly basis, usually in the top few. Um, and basically, what they have done in this way, playing Townstar, has actually allowed them to purchase a house for the first time ever. Um, and that's phenomenal. That's huge. To be able to break free of debt because they played a video game, that's massive. Like, that's truly massive. Anyone who's ever been in debt, can look at that. I mean, you know that crushing feeling where you're like, oh my god, I have to pay my credit card debt. I can't make my minimum payment. What am I gonna do? Like, to be able to be free of that, to know that you have a place to sleep at night because you played a video game. Like, good God, that's huge. Like, that's absolutely massive. And I think that that's something that, if we're able to create a system that helps even a handful of people in this way, okay, and I think that we're going to be able to help a heck of a lot more than that. That's really, really, really critical. Like, uh, that changes everything. Um, so yeah, and um, again, I know somebody said stop feeding the troll, but I do want to address this. At no point in time, man, are we trying to replace Bitcoin. I haven't said like, oh, Bitcoin's trash. It's not. I love Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin's amazing. Okay, there are just things that Bitcoin can't do. Okay, it just can't. From a technical level, it can't do some things. And so what you need to build something that can. And this is in no way, shape, or form a replacement. It's not better. It's just a different thing for a different purpose. So yeah. Um, and and Mythics, we're not trying to get PR off of it. It's just, it's the truth. It's a thing that has happened, and so, um, yeah. Let's see here. It was not. Okay, let's see. Let me check up. Oh, there's more pins. Let me check the pins. Okay, that's that. Okay, actually, we caught up on the questions. We're all caught up on questions. Okay, let's see. Does anyone else have any questions? And thank you guys, by the way, for inviting us here. We really appreciate it. Um, we really, really appreciate it having the opportunity. Ooh, here's one from Gala the Kid. Now, Gala the Kid is part of the top secret, not to be discussed Gravy Gang, McCarthy. I would like to point out the Gravy Gang does not exist. We don't talk about the Gravy Gang. The first rule of the Gravy Gang is you don't talk about the Gravy Gang. The second rule of the Gravy Gang is also that you don't talk about the Gravy Gang. I'm sure you get the point. Would homestead land deeds ever get more plots to build on? See, and this is a thing that happens on a fairly normal basis where I ask a question and then McCarthy says, thinking. And then it's quiet for a little while and I type.
Thinking.
See, exactly like that.
I mean, um, the and the reason it's always a thinking thing is I have to consider the grander implications of such a thing, right? So when you say would we get more plots potentially on a homestead, I'm not thinking about a homestead. I have to kind of think through would there be any kind of plot adjustments that exist across all land deeds, and um, anything we did would need to be kind of unilaterally done. If there was a 10% uppage in crop plots, let's say, we would need to do a 10% across all of the deeds to keep it fair. I am hoping, or we're definitely going to do our best to tune the game with what was presented first. If we start getting towards launch and there needs to be some minor adjustments made, it's not going to be anything that deed owners would be upset with. It likely would be everyone gets a little more of something. Um, but you can do so much in the tuning, guys. It's actually helpful from a design perspective to be in a little bit of a box and know that these are the number of cities, these are the number of plots. It helps me tune how fast crops can grow, how fast crafts can make it to a table, um, or to a different crafting station. It kind of helps in many ways. So I don't think we would adjust the homestead or any other deed. If we did, it would only be by the teeniest bit, and it would only be a hell of a long time from now before we would consider doing something like that. So count on them being what they are. We're going to work really hard to ensure that's the case.
Awesome.
And hold on a second. That actually probably would only ever apply to like cattle and crop plots or something like that. It's not the building. The building plots are locked. Those are locked.
Okay, there we go. There is the answer directly from the McCarthy's mouth. Okay, there was another pin that popped up here. If I have a stand in Townstar, can I grow that crop in Mirandis?
It is our intention to have all or as many as we can of the NFTs in Townstar have a use or a value inside of Mirandis. Um, it's not terribly difficult to do something like that, and it's exactly what I want when I play any game in the universe and I have something. I'm kind of bummed I don't get anything for it in game two, you know. Um, so it is our intention that there will be a use of all of the Townstar NFTs inside of Mirandis. We just haven't locked exactly what that will be.
Cyber Manning asks, how much are the Gala Foundation scholarships for game development? And were there any specific points needed for the applications? So, if anyone who is a game developer or wants to be a game developer or anything goes to gala.fund, it will get redirected to a Google sheet, a Google form rather, not a sheet. In that, you can enter in basically who you are, what's your project, put in links to stuff, videos. Basically, give us all of the information that you have that you feel like showing us. And what we're going to do is we're going to take these, we're going to sift through them, and we're going to find up to three of them. Could potentially be more, but up to three. And those three are going to receive a $10,000 grant in Gala. And I don't know if you read this part of things, McCarthy, but an hour to talk to some game designers about their concept.
Super cool.
And I've seen, like, some of you have already sent me things personally, like, hey, I got an idea for this game. Can you look at it and can you guys make it? That's a good place to send those sorts of things, because to be honest, I get so many of those requests. There's nothing I can do with them all. And some of them have even sent in some videos of some really cool stuff that they've made. So I would like to see all of that. There are no set requirements. We want to encourage game developers to develop games in the way that games used to be developed, where there was somebody who had an idea and a keyboard, and they made an amazing game. I mean, like some of those early games, that's literally how that happened, and we want to encourage that as much as we possibly can. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Are stands considered buildings, and can anyone use your stands to craft if you let them? Also, how some of
Hmm.
these questions are going to have to be answered later because, you know, Oh, Cyber World TV actually asked this question, or somebody else did. How many people can fit in a small tavern or building at one time?
Um, let me address the stand thing because I think that's
Sure.
that's kind of interesting. I think I like the idea. I mean, I've always liked the idea of keys. A way for you to lock your establishment up, and the only way to get in or out is if you have the key. I think that makes a lot of sense. Again, guys, we're not trying to make too much stuff up here. We're trying to just put ourselves in the reality of a medieval world. Um, so I think if you were a stand owner, you should be able to let someone else use that thing for a second. Um, I feel like that would make sense. Um,
Yeah, but you
and then
can't
what
just
was the
like
second?
walk up to somebody's house and be like, "Hey,
Yeah,
I'm gonna just use your blacksmith forge here for a minute. Don't mind me." That I think won't be a thing.
there are some places where we have to take a bit of a stance, just to keep things fun. Um, I would put stealing things in that boat too. If every single time, or if you played Ultima Online, that was huge. We had a keep, and it's like, someone can kill you, take your key, and then they go in and they take all your stuff. And I mean, having all your stuff taken isn't super fun. Um, so
Ooh, this is a good. Sorry.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now this is from Zarketh. Zarketh wants to know: will arrows in Mirandis be consumable to provide steady need for the archery?
I like the idea that um, they are consumable. If you get a bow, you don't get a million. You don't get infinite arrows. Um, I think if we do things really well, arrows will be able to be found and recovered potentially. I like the idea of that.
Mm, I
Um,
like that.
I think the thing about ranged weapons is you always have to have some. They need to. A couple things are going to happen. You either have to nerf the crap out of them so that they're not super effective, um, because you have infinite arrows, um, or you have a finite number of arrows, and then you can dial the tuning up because you're throttling the damage down based on the number of arrows that a player can hold in a quiver. Arrows are pretty powerful. To get hit with one is kind of a big deal. Like a crossbow bolt, that's kind of a big deal. Um,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
I,
That's why they used them.
um, so I would rather keep them at a decent power. Have a strong impact in the world, but throttle it based on, gosh, going through these arrows is a big deal, and especially if you have a really wonderfully fletched arrow. That's if you loose that arrow, you want to hit your target and you want to mean it and you want it to count. And so you kind of count your arrows and keep track of them. I think that's probably a more realistic thing to start with. And again, guys, like it's like systems and mechanics just beget more and more and more. You start sliding down this hill of this stat and that stat, and this is going to do this and this is going to do that. We will have to get to that point, but for now, we're trying generally to stick with you know reality,
Right.
because the more we do that, the better it serves the design, the more intuitive the game is when players come to it. Um, so that's kind of our north star right now, is to recreate a Ready Player One in a medieval setting. I think is kind of a good analogy.